can't tell a lie, I'm nervous.
Is there a slight movement in that?
There is a slight movement. But I tell you what.
Less than it looked from the outside.
Okay, welcome to episode 6. Episode 6 is the prelim to doing the engine rebuild. The engine's down there, box full of brand new gaskets and oil seals, every oil seal imaginable that goes into that engine. That's about $400 at the moment to rebuild the engine. That assumes that the crankshaft is good, the gearbox is good, and all the bearings are good, the pistons are good, and the barrels are good. If they're not, allow anywhere 3,000 to 5,000 as your starting point, right? So that could get very expensive. That will start in episode 7. So sadly, if that's what you tuned in for today, we're not quite there. Right now, we've got to tidy up the rear wheel, the front and rear brakes, and have a quick talk about the cost so far. So the rear wheel, I should have thoroughly checked that when I first got it before I painted it, but I wasn't expecting to find it was buckled. To rectify that buckle, and it has been rectified successfully, so shout out to the team that did it. That was $300. There is a little bit of damage from that process, of course, but the fact that the wheel is fit and healthy is a win. Blasting and painting the wheel, I'll have that done today, it's no big deal. Plenty of gold paint, sweet. Okay, spend so far. Ignore this list down here for a second. Spend so far on a replacement Chinese fairing and all the bits that you've seen so far up to this point, $6,871 spend so far. If you look at this little list here, you've got to buy a donor bike, you've got to work on the engine, you've got the electrics, the fueling system, the rego and the roadworthy. That there could easily cost you $18,000 to $19,000. Right, but it's a pig in the poke as to how much you actually spend on a bike. I've just put 10,000 in there for a bike. Feel free outside of this to go on the internet and start shopping around for a RD500 that's in non-running condition that needs a full restoration. See if you can find one for 10 grand. Maybe you find one for 7 grand. I don't know, but that's the difference. So the 6871 plus the bike, the engine, the electrics, the fueling, and the rego and the roadworthy comes in at around about $25,000 to $26,000, give or take. If the engine, if the bores and the barrels and the bearings and the crank are good, maybe I'd call it $21,000 to $22,000. But restoring these old bikes is not cheap. What are they worth when you sell them? If you're lucky, 25-ish. So there is no money in this. I'm doing this, Tracy's doing this, just for the love of doing it. Right, darling?
Yay.
Yay. All good. Okay, so we'll wrap up all those bits and pieces today, and then next week we'll start to strip the engine down. All right, that's enough waffle from me. Let's crack on.
Since I invented this idea, I've become a big fan of it. Yep.
So there we go.
So, 3 hours later.
Yeah, that didn't go quite as quick and smooth as I wanted it to. So we ended up using paint stripper, pressure washer, a few goes over, just getting it ready now for final stages. Get to the spray on paint prep stuff in a sec, but yeah, well, it is what it is. These things happen, unfortunately. Takes as long as it takes, I guess. Yeah?
Still smiling.
Still smiling, still enjoying it.
nice shiny new paint.
So rear wheel is all painted and lacquered. We'll let that harden up and then we'll whack the bearings and stuff in and put it back together. So rear wheel almost done. Then we'll just get onto the front brakes. All right, see how that goes.
Cool.
Difference. Cool. Okay, that's that side all the way up done. I'll be bleeding it in a minute or two. And that's this side. You want to switch sides? You hear it?
Right, so if I was a proper professional YouTuber, I would have saved this little surprise for made some little amateur dramatic. Oh wow, that's amazing, that worked. Right, so what this is about is, do you remember yesterday we spent about 8-9 hours in here? We did the painting of the wheel, and then we went through all the braking system, changing all the copper washers. Shush, baby. Changing all the copper washers, and any other fittings that needed to be done. And then we bled the system. Now, as we were bleeding the system, we got loads and loads of air out and probably chewed through quite a lot of brake fluid. And where we left it last night, it was still a little bit spongy, true? And then I said, okay, what we're gonna do, we're gonna take the brake lever and pull it, because it was spongy, of course. You can get this brake lever within about 5 mil of the handlebar. Put a cable tie around it, leave it overnight. And the reason for that, or the logic behind that, through the night, the Magic Pixies are going to come and get all the little air bubbles and make them float all the way up through the system into the massive cylinder, thus getting rid of any last remnants of air. So I wandered out here this morning, probably 5-10 minutes ago, and did what I would normally do, just snip the cable and then have a go at the brake lever. Now this is where you find out whether or not I'm full of crap or if this actually works. Come on in. I'm not going to video just your hand. There you go, baby. Any different?
Yeah, massive.
Massive, yeah. That is now a fully functioning, normal everyday brake, just as you find on any other modern bike. All right, so yes, it is incredibly effective to do that, to get your last little bit. So try it now. If you're at home with your project and you've got air in your brakes and it's a little bit spongy and you've given up the traditional brake bleeding method, all you do, bring it as close to the handlebar as you can, put your cable tie on it, leave it overnight. I turned my handlebars to the left to get the reservoir to the highest point that it's going to be at. And yeah, all I did, cut the cable, bingo. That is absolutely spot on. Okay, in order for us to finish the rear brake, we need to finish this rear wheel. So we've still got the bearings to put back, disc, rear sprocket, remount it, and then we can go about the business of bleeding up and finishing off that rear brake caliper. So, without messing around any further, let's crack on. Factory fresh air. Because they're right at the top, you see. All right, all good. So rear wheel is in place, just needs a tyre now, so that's dictated by the paint going off and setting properly. Front brakes all working and all good, rear brakes all working and all good. So, I mean, yeah, I'll put a line through it, but I'll actually clean them off the board. Yeah, so we spent, what, $648 on refurbishing the brakes, all told. Not bad. And it all works, so I'm happy with that. Yeah, good. You got any questions for me, babe?
No, are we all done?
Are we all done? Are you busting for a pee?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.